Hi, my name is Leo, and I love adventures. But one day, I had the biggest adventure of my life, and I almost got stuck in the past. Today, you're going to learn English through an exciting time travel story. During the story, repeat important phrases with me to practice your English. Don't forget to turn on subtitles and leave a comment at the end. It all started at my grandfather's house. He had a big, dusty basement filled with old things. Books, clocks, tools, and strange machines. I always loved exploring down there, but this time something caught my eye. In the middle of the room, covered in a thick sheet, was a large machine with colorful buttons. It looked like something from a sci-fi movie. But there was one thing that made me even more curious. A small handwritten note taped to the side. It read, "Warning, do not press the red button." I stared at the note for a moment. Do not press the red button? That only made me more curious. Why not? What would happen? I pulled off the sheet, revealing the full machine. It was old but still shiny, with gears and wires running across its surface. The buttons on the panel were in different colors, blue, green, yellow, and, right in the center, a big red one. My fingers hovered over it. Maybe it was just an old, broken invention of my grandfather's. Maybe it didn't even work. But what if it did? I glanced around the basement. No one was watching. My grandfather was upstairs reading his newspaper. The house was quiet. Taking a deep breath, I reached out and pressed the red button. At first, nothing happened. Then suddenly, bzzzt! The machine came to life with flashing lights and a loud whirring sound. The room around me started to spin. My body felt weightless, like I was floating in space. And then, everything went black. Slowly, I opened my eyes. My head was spinning. The basement was gone. The air smelled different. No more dusty books and old machines. Instead, I could smell fresh bread, horses, and something smoky, like a fire. I looked around. I was no longer in my grandfather's house. I was in the middle of a crowded marketplace. People were walking past me wearing long cloaks and strange hats. There were wooden carts filled with fruits, vegetables, and meats. A man shouted, "Fresh bread! Only 2 coins!" Another man was selling shiny swords. I turned in a circle, trying to understand where I was. More importantly, when I was. I felt a tap on my shoulder. I turned around and saw a tall man with a serious face. He looked at me with suspicion. "Who are you? Where are you from?" he asked. My heart raced. What should I say? How could I explain that I was from the future? Would he believe me? I swallowed hard and said the first thing that came to my mind. "I am Leo. I am from, far away." The man raised an eyebrow. He didn't look convinced. The man crossed his arms, still looking at me suspiciously. "Far away?" he repeated. "Where exactly?" I hesitated. If I told him the truth, would he think I was crazy? Would he call someone to take me away? Before I could answer, someone else spoke up. "Ha! Maybe he's a lost traveler," a voice said behind me. I turned and saw a man wearing a long brown coat and a wide-brimmed hat. He had a friendly smile, but his eyes were sharp, like he was always looking for trouble. "The king won't like strangers wandering around," he added, grinning. "You better leave before you get into trouble." The king? That didn't sound good. I took a step back, but suddenly I heard loud footsteps approaching. The people in the market quickly stepped aside as a group of armored soldiers marched through. At the front was a man wearing a heavy golden cape. His face was serious, and his eyes scanned the crowd. The man in the brown coat leaned toward me and whispered, "That's the king. If he sees you, you're done." My stomach twisted. I needed to get out of there, fast. I turned and started walking in the opposite direction, trying to blend into the crowd. But the moment I moved, I heard someone shout, "Stop that boy!" The soldiers turned their heads toward me. Their eyes locked onto mine. And then, they started running. My heart pounded as I sprinted through the market, dodging between carts and startled merchants. People shouted as I knocked over baskets of apples and nearly tripped on a wooden crate. Behind me, the king's soldiers were closing in fast. Their armor clanked with every step, and I could hear their angry voices shouting, "Catch him! Don't let him escape!" I turned a corner into a narrow alley, hoping to lose them, but I ran straight into a tall guard blocking my path. "What are you doing here?" he asked, his deep voice firm. I was out of breath, my mind racing for an answer. Without waiting, he turned and led me through a side door into a small, dark passage. We moved quickly through the narrow hallway until we reached another exit. He pointed toward a tall tower in the distance. "Go there, quickly." I didn't question it. I nodded and ran. As I raced toward the tower, I could still hear the soldiers searching for me. I had escaped, for now, but I wasn't safe yet. I ran as fast as I could, my breath coming in short gasps. The tower was just ahead, standing tall against the darkening sky. My heart pounded, not just from running, but from hope. If my time machine was still there, I could go home. I reached the base of the tower and looked up. There it was. The time machine was on the top floor, but I had no time to celebrate. The soldiers were still searching for me, and I could hear their voices getting closer. I burst through the tower's wooden door and sprinted up the spiral staircase, my legs burning with every step. Faster, faster! Finally, I reached the top. The machine was sitting in the middle of the room, exactly where I had left it. I didn't waste a second. I jumped inside and searched for the button. Footsteps echoed on the stairs. The soldiers were coming. My fingers found the green button. I slammed my hand down on it. Bzzzt! The machine roared to life. Light flashed around me, and suddenly, I was falling. Everything blurred. And then, I was back. I blinked. The basement, the shelves, the smell of old books. I had made it home. I sat on the floor, breathing heavily. The basement was quiet, just as I had left it. The time machine stood still, its lights dimmed. Had it really happened? I reached into my pocket and felt something. A small, old coin. My eyes widened. It wasn't a dream. I had really traveled through time. Standing up, I looked at the red button again. My fingers itched to press it, but I shook my head. Not today. Instead, I smiled and thought about everything that had happened. More importantly, I thought about everything I had learned.